Good afternoon and welcome to Live It Out Inc. And tonight we're going to talk about, well, before we get started, I want you guys to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It's Live It Out Inc. on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Tonight we're going to talk about emotional well being and mental health among Black women. We have some phenomenal guests tonight that is going to help us and tell us some things on how we can take care of ourselves emotionally and mentally. And we're going to discuss some issues and topics that us as African American women just discuss among ourselves and don't get a chance to just really rectify or get into it and see about it. So if you guys have any questions, please type them in the feed, press like and share. Get your girlfriends, get your sisters, get mom, auntie, all the ladies together tonight, and let's take care of ourselves emotionally and mentally as we continue on this journey called life. I am Janice, your VP with Live It Out Inc. And ladies, let's get started. Okay, so tonight we have Keisha Boyd, and we have Tawana Jones, who is actually my special guest. She's a licensed progressional counselor, and we have Tanisha Johnson. So we're ladies. We're gonna have an open forum. We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna get into some of the things, some of the issues that we deal with as African American women. So, and getting started, Tawana, I just want you to express how important it is that we as women, especially African American women, take care of ourselves mentally and emotionally.
Well, it's very important that we take care of ourselves. We usually are the head of our families. Professional women, we go out into the workforce. So it's important to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally, showing up for yourself every day. So also in the Black community, there are mental health tends to be the last thing that we address with Black women. And so oftentimes we deal with a lot of depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders, and don't get help for it. And so a lot of times we just go to church and we pray about it or talk to other people, but not get the professional help.
Okay. So why is it that Black people's mental illness get misdiagnosed? Is it because that we take it to church or we pray about it and we don't seek out the help? So what is the stigma on that? Why we can't how we keep getting misdiagnosed or not even diagnosed at all?
Well, in my opinion, I think a lot of it is there's so much negative stigma around mental health services, and just from so one, to answer your question, we don't seek out help. Two, you're going to your primary care doctors looking for answers versus going to a mental health professional. That's right. And I think the last thing is that just we Black people have a history of not being able to trust people in authority figures that could take control of our lives, like systems in place. We don't trust them. And so if I go tell you about my problem or that I'm not able to get out of the bed, I want to kill myself, then you may come in and take my children. So I think that stops us a lot of times from seeking help.
Okay, so that's definitely lack of education on being diagnosed with mental illness. Now you said something like when we go to our primary care physician, we go to them instead of going to a mental health specialist. Now, would and I'm not sure, Keisha, you can jump in too, dealing with the medical issue part. Do our providers provide that avenue for us? Like, can we, like, if I'm with Kaiser, can I call Kaiser or Blue Cross and say, look, I need to be referred to mental health help or something? I need some help mentally. So will our providers do that?
Yes.
They ask us those questions when we go in. They ask us, how we feel or what's going on. But it's up to us. Are we honest? What are we telling them when we go in? Are we saying, I feel fine? When they ask us those questions, that few scenario questions, when the nurse, gives us those questions before we see the doctor, What are we telling her? And then, you know, before you see that actual provider, because you see the nurse first, she questions you first before you see that doctor. And so when you see that doctor,
they always ask you if you're pregnant.
That too. They do ask you that.
They ask you if you're pregnant, because I was like, how many times you gonna keep asking me this at this point in my life? But I know the little questionnaire that they ask you, but they never asked me where are you mentally? Did you feel like killing yourself today? But I did see that when I took my niece to the teen clinic, the whole survey that she had to fill out, it was asking her about her mental health and her mental well-being. Did she have thoughts of suicide? Has she ever done drugs and stuff like that? But like when I go in, it's like if I don't tell you what's wrong, they're not really asking like that.
Because that's just really a screening. When you go to the doctor, some doctors won't even give you that form to fill out. That's not really their area. So you have to be honest with them and let them know what your symptoms are. And some doctors, most doctors, they can prescribe you medication on a short-term basis. But if you start feeling better, they take you off. But you really should, if you know you need medication past a certain time, maybe 3 months, because most of the time when you do take medication, you have to check in with a psychiatrist every quarter. So if it goes beyond that, you should be having this conversation with the doctor to refer you to a psychiatrist, because that's their specialty.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
For me, I'm going to say in my situation, when I originally first started feeling anxiety, I'm going to say mine was a screening. Like you said, they did ask me those questions, you know, that little screening piece was in there. Like you say, with your niece, those questions were in there. Like, how are you feeling? Have you felt uneasy today? You know, did you feel like getting out of bed? Those were some questions that were in there. But for me, it was like, I go through the VA. So my questions are totally different. And so my questionnaires are different from, like, you know, going through a Kaiser or going through just a regular primary care doctor. So I told them, you know, I didn't feel, you know, the same the last few months or whatever the case may be. And so my doctor said, okay, I'm going to try these few months, you know, and things didn't change. And so from that point that they didn't change, I said, you know what, I do need to see someone else from that point on. But I had to initiate saying I needed to see someone else. It wasn't them saying, I'm going to give you someone else. I had to initiate and say, I wanted to see somebody. It wasn't them saying, I'm going to give you someone to see. I knew I needed to see someone.
Okay. Now, with that being said, when we as African American women are looking for the therapist or the counselor, should we look for African American therapists and counselors, or does it make a difference? Like, because
for me.
Like, does it make a difference? Because, you know, we move different, we respond different, we act different.
Well, I have an opinion about that one.
Okay.
I would say I've had it both ways. So I'm a counselor that has a counselor. Okay. So I had a white counselor my very first time going, and I shared some things with her. And I overslept for my appointment one day. The lady was talking about calling the police and sent to my house based off of some things that I told her. But the problem with that is she didn't know if I was in danger or not. And she was just going to skip and just go straight to thinking something is wrong with me or I'm in harm's way. And but then I went to another counselor. She was white. She was very helpful. And I stayed with her for 2 years. Like, she changed my life. But I don't know. It just depends. I think it's more important to have someone that you can trust and you feel comfortable with versus the skin color. Because just because somebody's white doesn't mean that they don't understand where you're coming from. And if they don't understand, then that's your chance to tell them.
Okay. So you have to, like, they have to kind of like be compatible. Like, your therapist need to be like compatible, like can have some background information of your culture.
Because sometimes black people can over-identify, because just because we're black don't mean we have the same experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's true.
Exactly. Okay. You want to jump in on that, Keisha? What you think? Tanisha?
Well, it used to be a time when I didn't care, but now, if I did have to seek any mental health services, I would prefer to seek out help from a Black provider just to kind of see, just to get that experience. But I did have an experience with my daughter where she was having some issues and she was going to a white provider who I didn't think was good. And I switched over and we ended up with an African-American female just because she was the only person that was available at the time. And the experience was completely different. I felt like she was having a little issues with just some managing her feelings, but then we were thinking that she had a ADHD diagnosis that may have been incorrect. You know, you hear all the news about like that being overdiagnosed. So just wanted to make sure that we was dealing with ADHD and not behavior issues. So what I got from the African American provider is that she was able to give more statistics, you know, take it down to the level of those things within the African American community and kind of issues that's specific to the African American community where we may be mixing up some of the ADHD issues with maybe kids not being able to cope with being a single parent households and just down to that level. So after that, for her, I just was like, she'll just always go to a Black doctor.
Okay. So like what you're saying, they kind of have to meet you where you are, you know, to kind of make you feel comfortable. We got one question they want. Michelle said, do you think a psychologist or a psychiatrist will help? Like,
you are able to help. It is a difference though between a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a social worker, and a counselor. So counselors basically process emotional issues and mental health. So we do a lot of processing. Social workers do the same thing, but they do a lot of case management. Okay. And then when you get to a psychologist, they do a lot of testing to figure out what's going on with you. And then the psychiatrist does a lot of prescribing medication. So there are differences in each one, but they all can provide some sort of counseling. So you have to know the difference in what your needs are and what you're going for.
And that's so important because I remember the first time I was seeking out counseling and I didn't know that. And it got frustrating because I went through the EAP line at my job. And then, so I had to talk to a counselor there and it was kind of over their head and needed to get off the phone and into an office. And then they referred me to a doctor who turned out to be a psychologist. At the time, I thought that all of it was the same. And then she was like, oh, I think you need to get on these meds. And I'm waiting on her to write out. And she was like, no, I have to refer you to a psychiatrist because that's who has to prescribe. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I don't even, you know, it's such a lengthy process. So I just think, so I guess that's where education come in, just overall.
So in the mental health profession overall, like all those people you just named, the social worker, the counselor, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, all of those people, do they diagnose black people different? I mean, like, is it just one, like, it's like one generic way that they diagnose everybody, or is it a different way? Like, do they diagnose men different than they diagnose women? Do they diagnose?
A good question. That's a really good question. We have a book. It's the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, DSM. And that is a guide to diagnosing. What I have found though is that, so I can diagnose everybody that I named, you know, those groups, everybody can diagnose. What I found is it's subjective and it's what you present at the moment. Well, no, it's not subjective. I'm sorry. It's what you present at the moment, because you can come to me and present one way, come to Tanisha, present another way, go over here. And so we can all give you a different diagnosis. So that's one issue. The second is there are instances like, I know we're talking about women today, but like Black boys get diagnosed with a conduct disorder more so than ADHD. So they may have that, but they'll get diagnosed with a conduct disorder. When you get diagnosed with a conduct disorder, they're saying that you have an issue with authority. And so it starts from there.
Okay.
Versus
Okay.
ADHD, then you get some techniques to help you, focus, and might get some medication. You see the difference. One diagnosis could take you one way, and another could mean something different on paper. If I'm looking at you, you're 16 with a conduct disorder, and now you may be going to juvenile.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's good to know. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to get to that one too. What about a life coach? Like, what part does a life coach play?
Well, life coaches, they're good to help you with answering a problem. So you got a quick problem. I want to eat right. So they can coach you and tell you all the things about eating healthier and nutrition and all that stuff. But they're not licensed to actually process trauma, diagnose, or anything like that. So it's just really solution focused. I got this problem. How can I get from here to here in the shortest amount of time?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's good. That's good to know. So what do you guys see as major barriers in African American women or African American period and getting adequate mental health care? What's stopping us from getting adequate mental health care?
Not asking for help. We have this strong Black woman, and sometimes you can be so strong that you definitely don't take care of yourself. So always putting other people's needs before your own. The stigma around getting help, and just admitting to yourself that you have a problem. I also have anxiety and depression, and I see a doctor about it because I realized it was a problem for me. But everybody don't come, had it come to Jesus moment with themselves. So, and I think it's that. And then any type of therapy can be expensive because that is a specialized field. So it can be expensive, and a lot of insurances don't cover those services.
Oh, okay. I lost my thought. Okay, so what are some when we're getting our wellness, when it comes to our wellness and dealing with mental health, what roadblocks, like some of the things you said we were putting up was the insurance, like lack of insurance or inability to pay, but like just on an average, just the average mom or the superwoman, we had a superwoman syndrome. I can do it all. I got this. Yep. I don't need no help. Are those like roadblocks that affect us from being emotionally well? What are we doing to stop ourselves from being emotionally well, as well as mental? Because what are some things I know with me? It's the superwoman syndrome. I can help 1,000 people. I can do something for 1,000 people a day, but won't take care of myself at the end of the day. When it's time for me to take care of me, I'm either too tired, or I don't have enough time, or it's over with. So what are some things?
That's exactly what it is. You too tired. You've done everything else for everybody else, so you don't want to do anything else for yourself. That's it.
Oh, I got some help.
You have to tell yourself it's okay to be selfish sometimes. You got to say no. Sometimes it's just no, or not today, not now. But that's a lot of it, because once you give so much to everybody else, then you won't have nothing to give to yourself but sleep.
Exactly. Okay, so
and you have to learn the word no.
But it's just like we don't want to get to the breaking point. If we can be preventive, because that's where a nervous breakdown come in, where you held in so much, you just took in so much till you get to the breaking point and you just explode. So we don't want to get to that point. We need to know, like, what are the red flags? It's like, hey, you need to take a time out, bring it back together, and focus on you for a minute. Usually when we do that, I know like if it's a breakup, I done broke up with somebody, my heart broke. Now I want to get out. I'm take care of me. It's gonna be about me. But I done went through something traumatic.
Yeah.
So, like, is it any red flags that we see, that goes on around us that can kind of let us know, like, okay, hey, I remember. Okay, this just means I need to regroup. I need to regroup. Or do we need accountability partners that be like, hey, sis, hey, queen, I see you kind of unraveling a little bit. What's going on? Do we have those type of people in our lives?
I got one. Spazzing out on people. Yes.
Yeah.
The first time, you out of control. You spazzing out on people for the wrong things. When it's a 2, but you took it to 100.
Exactly.
When you find yourself cursing in the car, road rage, some people ain't did nothing to you.
Right.
Go for 2. When you're doing that, you have younger kids around, you're fussing at them all the time. It will show up, and it'll show up in how you eat. I know we all love our little snacks and stuff, but when it becomes too much, other subtle symptoms that people should look out for is if you're sleeping too much, you done slept the whole weekend away. You go to work, you come home, the first thing you want to do is go to sleep. That's a problem. Isolating yourself, don't want to talk, don't want to tell people what's going on. Headaches, because sometimes stress show up a lot as physical symptoms. So having headaches, stomach, any type of aches and pains, and you haven't done anything. So it's those things. Your body will tell you when it's time to tap out.
When it's time to tap out. We just have to pay attention to our body. So can you guys share with us, like, what are some ways to build our emotional well-being or our mental stability? What are some things we can do for ourselves before even the mental illness, before we even get, we may not have mental illness issues, but we're emotionally unstable. So how do we keep that together? What are some things we can do to check in with ourselves and tap in with ourselves? Like, I really don't have an accountability partner. I just have to figure it out. I really do. I have to figure it out and just like, my kids might say, girl, mom, what? You put yourself together. Why your hair look like that? What's going on with you? And I go back and check myself because my kids been on pull my car, but it be something so deeper than that. But they'll say something to make me go back to the table and say, okay, why am I'm falling off? I'm falling off. But what are some things we can do to keep from getting there? Like, do we make it part of our routine? Do we need to take care of ourselves mentally as part of our routine, as part of us grooming ourselves as African-American women, as part of us, getting ready for work or getting ready for whatever we're doing? What are some things that we can do?
Well, every day you have to show up. You have to get up and dress up. Like, I tell myself that every day. Well, whether it's a 5-minute walk in the morning that I take or a 2-minute walk, out in the neighborhood. I mean, heck, I know right now it's humid as heck by the time we wake up, but whether we get up and we just take that 2 or 3 minute walk, when you get up in the morning, just go out and take that meditation walk and get yourself ready for the day. You just have to do it to start your day out, just to check yourself, okay, or stand in the mirror and, affirm yourself. Okay, Janice, today is the day. It's going to be a great day. Yesterday it didn't look as great, but today it's going to be what it is. Queen, this is what we going to do today. We have to do that to ourselves sometimes because it's just what it is. You are your own accountability partner sometimes because we may not have our partner with us at all times.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like a little self-motivation.
You said schedule.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because she was saying make the time. So yeah, the scheduling is a big one for me. So mine is kind of like 2-part because I've been trying to take a holistic approach, especially with everything going on with the pandemic. Just to take a little extra care of myself. So it's been 2 big things for me. So the first one has been getting adequate sleep. So I used to be one of those people who looked at sleep as a sign of weakness, the whole You sleep when you're diced up, and
Yeah.
also lazy people sleep. Early bird gets the worm, so all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And all of that. And so I would just like get run on 4 hours of sleep. I would go a couple of days without sleeping if I was preparing for something big, and it catches up with you. It'll start manifesting in your body. And when you start doing research and you start talking to the doctors, you actually start finding out that people who don't get adequate sleep, it shaves off years, sometimes decades of your life. You start getting sick. You're not as sharp when you're doing things. So actually kind of working against yourself. So I had to start making myself get those 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And it's made such a big difference. And it helps, it kind of like improves everything. So now I'm getting to sleep and I'm able to wake up earlier. So now I'm having earlier days. So I've been able to find the time to get up early, to work out, to journal, to read in the morning. So by the time everybody else is up, I've gotten in about 3 hours of those kind of things, taking care of myself. Before everybody else is up. We're used to, I would be dragging out of bed late because I just went to sleep at 3 or 4. But now I'm waking up at 3 or 4. So
I did a power hour. That's what I called it yesterday. So I got up at 7. The first thing I did, I put on my workout clothes. I ran on the treadmill for 20 minutes. After that, I cooled down. So I just laid on the floor, paying attention to my breathing. Then I fixed me a green smoothie, took a shower. By that, it was an hour, but it was an hour to myself.
Exactly.
I didn't need anything from me, and it was all about me. And I even journaled, but I did my journal different. I tell people to journal all the time, but this time I wrote it outside of myself. You did good today, girl. Like I was my hype man, but it wasn't me. Like you did good today. You conquered that. You ran for 20 minutes. You drunk your green juice. And so when I go back to read it, I'm not reading about sad and sappy stuff and how I felt in the moment. It's like that's my motivation to keep me encouraged. So I didn't do it today because I was tired, but my goal is to try to do it every day, Monday through Friday. So tomorrow I'm going to get early tonight so I can get up in the morning and do it again.
Oh, okay. So I hear journaling. I hear that self-motivation and kind of loving on yourself. I'm kind of with you, Tanisha. I need a schedule. I need to know, okay, I'm going to work. When I get from work, I would say, okay, from 8 to 9, I'm going to meditate, pray, whatever I'm doing for that. I'm going to work out at this time. By 9:30, I'm in the shower. 10 o'clock, lights out. I'm resting. So I need a schedule to try to stick to. I need to visually see it, and I have to write down things that I can do to take care of myself for today. That's just on a good day when ain't nothing going on. But when something going on, it's a total whole different story. And to one, I like what you said. It's okay to say not today, maybe tomorrow. I can't help you today, but if you give me tomorrow or something, then I see what I can do. I can help you that day. That's something that I got to work on because I'm always trying. Somebody call me, man, come get me. Can you do this for me? I'm like, okay, I'm on the way. Okay, I'll sell it to you. I do this. And I don't even think twice. It's just I'm the yes person. And then again, when you're the strong one in your circle, in your family, nobody is taking care of you. Like, you taking care of everybody else, but nobody at the end of the day, nobody's saying, Janice, how was your day today? Let's talk about your day today. How was work? So I don't want,
what they need you to do.
Exactly. It was all about, what can you do for me? Not it. So I'm learning to cut some of those people off. Learn how to delete and block.
Hello, man.
Which is good therapy. Y'all learn how to delete and block people. Good therapy. Reading. I like to read positive things. And I know, and you let me know how you feel about this too, Tawana. Like what we're feeding our brains and our minds on a daily basis.
Yes.
What we're listening to in our ears on a daily basis. What we're allowing people to speak to us or say to us on a daily basis, can that affect our emotional well-being and our the way we think mentally? Because I know with so much going on now, everything is so sad. It's so many RIPs and hashtags and all of this and that. Everything is just doom and gloom. And if you keep allowing all of that stuff to penetrate your mental set, it starts to wear on you. Like I have to like not watch the news for a couple of days because it's so depressing.
Oh, yeah.
I know that it gets to me. So, and this is my secret. When I go to bed, when I'm going to bed, I have to watch something comical like Martin, because it's always laughing on there, and it's a good mood. So when I'm going to sleep, I want to go to sleep in a good mood. So I try not to go to sleep off of a scary movie or off murder and all of this stuff that vexes my spirit. So how important is it that what we're feeding to ourselves?
It's very important. And what I usually tell my clients is social media is, how they say social media is the devil.
It is. I agree.
I mean, all of that stuff, everything we take in, even colors, affect your mood and how, just how you feel overall. So if you're going to be on Facebook, Instagram, all these other platforms, follow people who are inspiration. Don't like the shade room. You don't have to follow the shade room. But if you want to keep up with it, just go on that page, get what you need, and get off. But I don't watch videos of people being shot.
Yes.
If I see where it says sensitive content, I don't watch it. Period. I don't watch the news. I have a news app and I try to keep up. I keep up from her sometimes. I don't watch that stuff. But those things are very, very, very important because today it may not bother you, but tomorrow you had a bad day. You don't feel good. You already don't even feel like going to work. And then you see this stuff and then you're just going to keep watching because it sucks you in. You want to know what happened. You're just going to keep watching it all day. And then it just starts this ripple effect. They're even talking about adding, don't quote me, but they were talking about adding like diagnosis tied to like social media and stuff like that in the future because it really does affect people.
No, go ahead, Tanisha.
So, speaking of I follow the news. Like I'm a news person. I invest. I'm an accountant. I'm a finance person. So I invest. I'm in the stock market. And then at my job, I'm like a financial analyst. So it's kind of my job to follow the news because what some people don't realize is that everything that happens in the news, whether it's somebody that got shot, like a big shooting, like a George Floyd shooting that gets big on a national level, all the way to housing prices rising, all of that moves the stock market. And then if you work in certain industries, then it affects everything that you do. So I follow the news constantly all day. And it makes you hyperactive. It does take a mental toll. So I definitely have to find ways to decompress. And then sometimes I have to just make a sacrifice. One day I'm like, you know what? My portfolio probably going to take a hit, but I cannot be plugged into the news today because I could really start feeling kind of like getting depressed. It just gets to be too much. So definitely if you're someone who's plugged in all the time, you definitely have to make like self-care a priority and schedule some time away from social media.
Because when this is my last thing to say about like, if you see something on the news like somebody was raped, you're going to hear 10 more rape stories before the end of the week. It just never stops. So get what you need, but then tap out. And if you're on social media, start following people who are more inspirational and positive and that are into things that you like. And that'll make things a little bit better instead of the same drama every day. And also, I see where they've started going back on the reality shows. That's another one. Watch something like Martin, something lighthearted and fun, but just anything with a lot of drama, you just gotta pull back from it.
Exactly. Especially as you're getting older, your mindset has to change. Our mindset has to change. Keisha, did you want to jump in on this?
I mean, I listen to podcasts. find, different podcasts to listen to that are uplifting throughout the day or sometimes at night before I go to bed instead of, the other, like you say, the shade room to keep me going before I go to bed. Because what you do realize is like when you search for one thing or if you see one thing online, then all this other stuff starts popping up in our news feed and online on our phones that we didn't even, may have looked for or may have clicked on. So then we looked for that one thing or may have clicked on that one thing, but then all these other things started populating. So then that's how all these other things started coming up. So I try to, look at the listen to the podcast and things like that to keep the positivity going before I, go to bed or, in the mornings or throughout the day, just to see what I can find, throughout, or, I ask for suggestions, from people online to keep that going.
And Keisha, that's a good way to start your mornings off good too. Like just listening to
Okay.
listening to something positive. That's good too.
Okay. One last question, Tawana. What advantages do members of the African American community have with respect to mental health? And how can we maximize it? Like, what are some? We know some of the roadblocks, but are there any advantages that African Americans have in the mental health community?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I hadn't found any advantages. I haven't, because I just haven't. Even like the crack era, right?
Okay.
So that was bad. There was no help for Black people for that. But now we have the opiate crisis, and there's so many grants and
yes,
and it's the same way with mental health. So there's not, our system is set up where one, there's a lot of grants and things for mental health, and especially not for Black people. And they're trying to change that now, but it's still not in place, and which creates play into the stigma about mental health services. It's just not. But the good news is there are many therapists, social workers, psychiatrists, and psychologists. There are many Black, professionals that's doing this now. You should be able to find somebody that you can identify with and, build a relationship. And if you get there and you don't like them, you can switch. There's so many out here now. And we do have, I wrote down a few numbers and I'll forward it to you so you can post to your group. But there's one, if you're struggling with like you need emotional support around COVID-19, Georgia has set up a hotline for that. The Georgia Crisis Line, a lot of people don't use that service, but it's set up for anybody. If you're going through something emotional, don't matter what color you are, you can just call them anytime, 24/7. There'll be somebody there to talk to you. So there are some supports, but we're not there yet.
Oh, wow. But that's another entity of Black Lives Matter when it comes to mental health. They got to give us what we need, just as like they do our counterparts or our Caucasian brothers and sisters. Our lives matter too when it comes to mental health and mental illness and stuff like that. So that's another fight that we on the front line fighting for. Just our ability to have the mental well-being, the mental capacity to deal with life itself. So y'all, everybody, Black Lives Matter, put the mental health part in there too.
I know a lot of therapists, and I see where some of them that have nonprofits, they've been raising money to be able to pay for therapy for Black people. And so I see a lot of people doing that. It was one lady in Chicago, she raised over $100,000. Wow, so she hired a bunch of people real quick so they could help her with it. But we just need more of things like that for our community, because this is just not going to help.
Okay, so and I'm gonna jump a little bit. What do you say to the African American? I'm gonna give you a scenario because this is a dear friend of mine. Um, Someone they're mentally overwhelmed. I'm like they almost to their breaking point. They're taking care of a sick relative. They're dealing with a family member along with the sick relative. The one of the other family members have mental health issues, and then there's they have other kids, and then it's a husband, and she's caring for all these people. And sometimes when she comes to work, she's so full, she has nothing left when she comes. And I mean, we don't know, I tell her, I mean, we're gonna pray for you, or let's go to lunch, or let's, try to do something that lighten the mood. But what do you say to a person who, when their mental state is just so overwhelmed to the point that they don't know what to just all day long it's something. And I know taking care of a sick family member is more than what, I don't know what people think be going on, but that's some work. When you have to take care of a sick relative, a sick mom or grandma or something like that, that's some work. That's enough, because you're trying to work, you still got to pay your bills. So you still trying to work, keep the house together, and take care of all of these people in that house. How do we get some relief? How does this person get some type of relief from this everyday pressure of life?
Everything you just said, that happens to so many Black women. That's the strong Black woman right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. But if it was my client, the first thing that I would say is, one, start telling people no. Two, even though you're taking care of a sick relative, there are some things that they can do for themselves, if they can. Like you can make your own appointment, you can follow up, you can call and even rise to the doctor. Send Uber, send them in Uber. It sounds mean, but you have to do things because you can't be everything to everybody. If there's solicit other family relatives to help. If they can't help, I mean, even my personal, my dad lives with me and he has some issues, but we started using Uber and Lyft for the appointments. He scheduled his appointments. Sometimes I drop him off, come home, I go back and pick him up if I can. If I can't, I'll send Uber. I used to feel really guilty about that, but I can't be everything to everybody. I still have kids, still got a husband, I got to take care of everybody. And so, and then schedule time for herself. So if she still have all these responsibilities, see if she can get up a little bit earlier, start her day with just pampering herself. Even if that's just praying or meditating, listening to something positive or watching something positive for a little while. But she has to take some things off her plate and set some firm boundaries, or this will continue until she has a breakdown.
And that's what we don't want. We don't want to get to a mental breakdown. We want to take care of ourselves. We want to do things that we can do to prevent this from happening. So it is so important that we take care of our mental well-being and our emotional well-being. And women, they say we are such emotional creatures. They say we're just emotional beings.
We are.
Like, our mood swings, we can go from to don't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just all over the place.
Give me a hug.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah, we'll be ready to take it there. So we gotta figure out how to balance that, like the triggers, like something is triggering all these different emotions. And I know I'm not emotionally unstable. I kind of figured that together a little bit. I know I'm all right.
The main thing when you start feeling like you spazzing out and you're getting overwhelmed is because you're not paying attention to those cues that's telling you need to slow down, set some boundaries with people, whatever you need to do, but you have to take care of yourself. That is one way. When you start getting agitated, you have to ask yourself, why am I irritated? Well, probably because I've been running around doing something for everybody else, when I wanted to do this one thing for myself. And then when you start running around like that, what's the next thing you start doing? Now you're stopping at fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Having something quick. That's not good for if you're already stressed out, the worst thing you can do is eat fast food.
Yeah.
So it's just, and then next thing you know, somebody asks you what we're going to eat today, and you done cut them out. So.
Okay. And could it be hormonal?
Could be.
Could it be hormonal? Could it be that some hormones are some going on in there? Like
It could very well be hormonal, but remember now, even if it's hormonal, if you're already on the edge,
it's gonna be worse.
And then you're not eating right, and you're not setting boundaries with people, telling people no, that's just gonna make it worse.
Okay. Well, ladies, do you guys want to add anything to, just taking care of ourselves, taking care of others, but mostly taking care of ourselves, our emotions, our mental state, and any advice, any encouraging words, anything we can say to the sisters out there and the brothers that's listening or watching, so that we can kind of get a wrap on this thing. And we got to get this mental health thing out in our community to know that it is okay to seek professional help if you feel like you're on a mental breakdown, if you feel like you overwhelmed. It's okay to go sit on the couch and talk to somebody, I guess, and not, we keep calling the preacher, which is good. There's nothing wrong with calling the preacher, but it's a reason why we have psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists and counselors.
You can have Christian counselors.
Exactly. Exactly. I was going to say that. You can go more with a Christian firm or whatever, but seek some help, get some help, when they need to know that it's out there. We need to take the stigma out of our community, because we'll push it off as, he's just crazy. All right, that'll be all right. This is how I am. This is what everybody know I'm like this. We got to take all that stigma out of our community, and let people know it is okay to say something. It is okay to say something and try to get some help. And even the people that's around you, if you see something off about me, please say something. Let me know. Pull my coattail. I'm open. So what can we tell? What do we want the sisters and want the people to know about that? We'll go with you, Keisha, then we'll go with Tanisha, then we'll go with Tawana.
Just like you said, just be okay with talking to someone. If you don't feel like yourself, or you feel like there's something off, get a referral. If you can't go to your primary care, or you feel that, you possibly can't afford it, Tanisha said she went through EAP. See if your job does offer EAP. And just take the time to find out if, you can get the services through them, get the help you need. If you're afraid to go by yourself, see if there's someone to go with you, get that accountability partner for yourself. Don't be afraid to go get the help, that you need, because we don't want you to go off the edge, to where, we lose you. So, step out and get that help that you need, and, start the treatment that you need for yourself.
Well, I think one of the biggest things, this is something I've been having a lot of conversations about, and even it's funny because it's kind of been like a recurring theme, even in this conversation, is I feel like as Black women, we need to start pushing back on that strong Black woman label. We carry that as a badge of honor, and it's killing us. It's causing stress. That's manifesting itself into high blood pressure, unhealthy eating habits, heart attacks, we're stroking out. And all of that comes back to our need to be the super women, to save everybody, to put everybody before ourselves. And we have such an issue with saying no and not being able to show up for everything. We look at that as a sign of weakness. We're such people pleasers, and we want to be on the front lines of the protest. It's like on the front of everything, there's a strong Black woman. But then when you look at as far as income equality, when you start looking at equality, we just talked about how we're not treated the same when it comes down to healthcare. And then I'm seeing more and more articles where they're talking about even in the medical field, where even it plays a place in there where doctors are now admitting that they think that even physically Black women can take more pain than anybody else. So they're not prescribing us pain medications on the same level that they are. They think that we could take more pain and surgery, so I think that we need to start pushing back on that strong Black women label. It's toxic at this point. And it's okay to be soft. It's okay to say no. It's okay to push back. It's okay to ask for help. We don't have to show up for everything.
And Tanisha, with that, when you were saying that the studies that they've been saying that Black women can take more pain, I was watching the History Channel, and it was comparing that like way back in time, like they've always other races or other cultures always feel like that we were just built to take so much more pain. Like the pain in a Caucasian woman losing her child is different than the pain with one of us losing our child. Like we're supposed to be able to process that better than when it happens to them. And this was a documentary, and they was talking about women rights and women vote. They went all the way back, and they were just saying how Black women are supposed to be able to process pain in a different way. That's why I was asking, like, does it make a difference? Is it a difference when they diagnosing us as African American women for mental health? How are you looking at us based on statistics or based on what's been taught or what's been said or what's been done over the years? Are you looking at that saying, oh, okay, so she's built for this, she can process this a little bit better, so I'm not gonna give her everything that I'm not gonna put everything that I need to in her, as opposed to, oh, she's so nurturing and caring and she's kind of weak and she needs this and she needs that. So is it a different, because we are labeled as strong Black women, and like you said, Tanisha, I agree, that badge of honor is really taking us out because we're trying to kill ourselves to live up to that. So I just wanted to add that to you because that was a very good point when I was watching that. And I was like, wow, I mean, like if a white woman loses her child, it hurts me if I'm gonna lose mine. What, I'm supposed to be okay? I'm just supposed to, yeah, it hurts. We hurt too. So go ahead. Yeah, this has been so awesome. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, back to self-care and take, just some people find that so difficult because again, you're always used to taking care of other people first, but start with something small. Like Tanisha said, schedule time for yourself. If that's, I'll give some examples, but you have to do the things that you like to do. If you like art, schedule some time to do that. You like being pampered and getting massages or, taking a bubble bath. Anything that you like to do it, and be okay with saying no. Just know for your audience. When you tell people no, there will be some backlash with that because people don't like hearing the word no. But once you start doing it, it starts to feel good because now you can take some time to focus on yourself.
Okay, good information. This discussion has been phenomenal, just like I thought it would be. You ladies are awesome. Y'all look so beautiful. Black is so beautiful. And I just want to thank you guys for adding to our emotion, to our segment. So we got some work to do. So we're going to be looking to partner with you, Tawana, Tanisha, Keisha. You already working in the background. So we're going to get this mental health education and stuff out. We got to get it out, like even down to our teenagers. African American boys, like what you were saying, to one, like how they diagnosing them with the conduct stuff. So the parents need to know that your child might just have something else going on, and he's not that he's defying authority. He needs to learn how to channel his emotions or channel his whatever's going on with him on the inside. So we got work to do. I'm excited. I want to thank everybody for joining us. You ladies, if you put up the L for Live It Out, I really appreciate it. So, okay, yeah. So, Tawana, I want you to share your information on how they can.
That's right.
I'll follow you. If you have a social media outlet,
Yeah.
share your information so we can get it out there.
Okay. You want me to share it now?
Yeah, doing that.
Okay. On Facebook is T.A. Jones LPC. And my page is Positive Life Balance, but you have to find me at T.A. Jones LPC. And then on Instagram, I think it's Positive Life Balance LLC on Instagram. And I'm also doing, that's it. I'm also coming out with a course. I'm supposed to launch it September 1st. So be
Okay.
that as well. And so the course would be about Black women and mental health.
Awesome. We look forward to that course. Look forward to taking it. So we'll be on there. We're gonna start following you. I think I always follow you. I think I already follow you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Tanisha, you got anything you want to promote? You want to put out there while we got some people listening?
I'm here promoting her.
Okay, all right, that's right.
Keisha, get really good financial advice. Really good financial advice. Give them your page.
Yes, you need to give your information.
Right.
Page, but you can follow me on Facebook, Tanisha Johnson, and on just Facebook, because I really don't do a whole lot of finance stuff on Instagram, but Facebook, yeah, I'm live.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to follow you because I need my money to be right. I need somebody.
Yeah, I try to post tips as much as possible.
Yeah, so y'all in the right position. We got some sisters in power right here. We need to promote this. So you guys keep being awesome. Thank you again, Keisha. You want to add something? Are you?
Nothing today, but hey, you'll see me later.
Yes, I will, Keisha. I will see you later. So want to thank you, Tanisha. Thank you so much, Keisha. You guys be blessed. Have a awesome rest of the week. And I will be talking to you guys real soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.